Okay, so just there in the distance you can see the spire of St Bartholomew's Church in Ripponden, and I'll give you more details of what's happening when we get there, because the story begins in the church graveyard. Okay, so I'm out and about, and I'm going to be walking around Ripponden. It's not a long walk, but it's a walk themed around a guy who lived 300 years ago, and I'll tell you more as we go along. Okay, so this gentleman was born in 1677, and that will be during the reign of King Charles II. So that's the restoration of the monarchy after the takeover by Oliver Cromwell, who chopped the head off his father, I think. Yeah, Charles I will have been his father. So, unless he named his first son Charles, I don't know. Anyway, it's something we can look up. So Charles II's on the throne, and it's the Stuart dynasty that continues from James I, the Scottish king. Well, I'm just walking down Ripponden Old Bank. Okay, so I'm at the church in Ripponden, St Bartholomew's, and this middle box tomb is where Sam Hill is laid to rest. Now, it's hard to read the writing here, but it just say here Samuel Hill. And I can get a good picture of this from the internet. It's kind of fading away a bit now. So this is where the walk begins. This gentleman lived around 300 years ago, and he was the local entrepreneur and owned loads of land and buildings. And he was in the textile industry like most entrepreneurs of that day. Right, I'll tell you a bit more about him as I read myself, because I'm learning as we go along. But this church is nice. It's what I believe to be a neo-Gothic style construction, and it's got this mini tower there. Built in 1868, and this is the fourth church here. The other three kind of fell apart. I think one got damaged in a flood, but this one has stayed put. This looks like a solidly built one. Okay, so this is called Priest Lane. Hello there. Okay, so this pub, the Old Bridge Inn, dates back to 1307. Hello there. Apparently it was a house at first of a yeoman clothier called Robert of Big of Soyland, and it's amazing it's still here. Okay, so the nice Georgian house here, and this was the residence of John Watson, 1724 to 1783, and I think that's why it's called Priest Lane. And he was reputed to be a good historian and antiquarian, and he wrote a very detailed book about the history of Halifax, and it was called History and Antiquities of the Parish of Halifax in Yorkshire. And that took some saying, but he wrote 760 pages about its history. Right. Okay, so I'm now going to join the Calderdale Way, and these round stone pillars, there's one, there's another, and this was one of the entrances to Sam Hill's Brigroyd estate that we're walking on. Okay, I just noticed another couple of stone pillars. I don't know if they're related at all. These are spaced closer together, so I would have thought they'd only let in a person rather than a vehicle or a carriage or something. Right, but we're going this way. Okay, so that block of houses, a row of terraces, is known as Burke's. And some of Sam Hill's workers, tenants, lived there. And their job was to take raw wool and turn it into woven cloth. So it looks like he had hundreds of people working for him, and they all worked at home. It could be what you call piecework, where they paid for as many pieces of cloth that they could make. I'm just learning, but it sounds right. We'll go with it, and if I'm wrong, somebody just make a comment if anybody's watching. Right, keep going. Okay, check out this sycamore tree. And I know it's a sycamore tree because it says so on my walking guide. It's something I've downloaded from www.pennineheritage.org.uk. I'll probably put it in the description. There's quite a few walks around the local area, you know, Ripponden, Hebden Bridge, and they're all the areas I walk around West Yorkshire, Calderdale. So I'm following a guide rather than a map, but I've got my map just in case. At least the sun's come out to take these jackets. Going to be past Myrtle cottages here on the left. Go on then, this way. Oh dear. I've always wanted to be a shepherd. Okay, they're not. Okay, so I think this is Kebroyd Hall. And I should be able to just walk past this row of cottages. And see the heritage plaque at Kebroyd Hall itself. Let's see if I've got this right. Obviously not. Let's look further down. Okay, I didn't read the instructions properly. So this is Kebroyd Hall, and we should see a plaque around the corner from here. Okay, so this here that's covered in ivy is the base of the chimney of Kebroyd Mills. So was this, did it just have one chimney, or wow, I mean, oh, this is just the base. I'm going to go down the hill. Okay, some more gate entrance posts, and this is actually the site of Kebroyd Mills. And we'll have a quick look. Well, I'm going to presume that this is the site, but it's so overgrown now. There just isn't anything left of it though. I wonder if these stones are just a few bits that remain. Now then, there it is. Wow, amazing. I'll put some pictures up of the size of the building, and it's just amazing. It looked, I think in its day, it was so huge it probably looked immortal, and yet now there's nothing left of it. So there's some good photos on the internet. I'll borrow one or two, and we'll see what it looked like. Hopefully there's one taken when it was in its glory, rather than vacant and unused. Right, we're going up to Millbank now. Right, back on the path. Okay, so just to the right there, it's a really deep valley, and so there must be water down there that powered those mills. Although I can't see anything, but there should be evidence of water further along here somewhere, or old sluice gates or similar types of things. Maybe because we've had such a dry spell the last few months that you can't hear or see any water down there at the moment, but it must be there. Okay, now then, you can hear the water running, and I believe this is called a weir, man-made. I don't know what it does. It slows the water down, and then it can gather momentum later on. Something I'll have to look into. So here's where he got his power for his mills. Quite a bit of a controlling gate there. Amazing. Running water to power a mill. Before the days when the steam revolution came, and that changed everything. But it does look a bit dry. Wow. I would have thought it'd normally be flowing a lot more healthier than this. We haven't really had any rain for I think 3 months here in Yorkshire, or very little, and I noticed it on the reservoirs up at moors that they looked a bit lower than normal, or a lot lower than normal, and now this brook here just not quite flowing like it would have done in normal times. I'll have to come back and have a look in winter after a few days of rainfall. And let's see if the water's gathered momentum by then. Wonder what that was. Some water channel or some drinking well for pack horses. Right, well here's an old graveyard that must belong to this church that's since been changed to residential. It's an old Wesleyan chapel and I think I can just see it on my left. Okay, this is it. Former Wesleyan chapel, Methodist. Okay, so just walking past that Methodist chapel, just noticed there's something that looks kind of similar, or in similar architecture, that may have been linked to it. Did they have vicarages just next door, the chapels? For the Methodist pastor to reside in. I don't know. Something I like about Methodism, I think it was a movement, how I understand it, spurred on by social justice by the two Wesley brothers. Okay, so that was Mill Bank back there, and I am coming back this way. But I've decided I've got plenty of time to take a diversion, and I'm going to look for a Georgian palatial mansion down in Sowerby. I think it's called Field House, and I've got a history to tell you about, but you can always research a bit more on the internet if you're interested. But there seems to be an array of buildings there. Going back to medieval times, I think the original one. And then later this big palatial mansion was built next door. The original, what looks like a yeoman's house, that Elizabethan style. Loads of these brilliant windows and what have you. So that's worth having a look for. Well, I'll give you an update as I get nearer. Okay, so just in the distance there, I'm quite certain that's Norland Moor. So there'll be Norland Town up there. And then as we go to the left, we should see Warehouse Town somewhere. There it is. And that's by any distance, I think that's All Souls Church in Halifax. There's a couple more things on the horizon, but I'm not sure what they are. Okay, we just got a glimpse there of something very old. Okay, so this is Field House in the Georgian Palladial style. It's a lovely fascia or a front there. Look at that. And then also the building next door is older. Okay, so I don't know too much about these. They're not linked to Sam Hill, I don't think. Okay, so I'm just at Field House now. There's a lot of buildings in that courtyard, and I'll try and zoom in, and you might be able to just see there's 2 round pillars there, or there's probably 4 altogether, but that's a piece of an old chapel in Sowerby. I'll try and find a picture on the internet of that, if somebody who's visited it, because I think they have some open days in summer, so I'll probably come on one of the open days. So yeah, there's a house behind there, and one end of it is taken from an old chapel they were demolishing in Sowerby, and complete with archways and stained glass and that little like thing at the top that could have housed the church bell. It looks strange, but it's nice. So one more glimpse there, the Field House, and then I'm going to make my way back to Millbank now and pick up again on the Sam Hill trail, and we'll be passing something called okay, yeah, as I was saying, we'll be passing a bit more on the Sam Hill trail, something called Making Place, or originally known as Mecking Place. I suppose Mecking is the Yorkshire version of making. They're all separate apartments now, but at one time I think it was some kind of well, it was Sam Hill's home and his base, I think, from where he worked, and then later on it became some kind of school. I'll put some details up on the internet. I've probably got the instructions here, but just can't bother to read them at the moment. Right, just a mile down the road or two to walk to get back to Millbank. Okay, so I'm just walking up Foxon Lane and I'm heading for Making Place. Now, I've been reading a bit of this guide, and apparently I passed a few houses that were owned by this Sam Hill as part of his property empire back in the 1700s. He had 6 children. 5 died before him, so it must have been quite depressing for him. Then I think the eldest son survived and he got disinherited. So I don't know where the Sam Hill fortune went. Some family feud over who he chose to marry. Married the housemaid or something, and his dad didn't approve because she weren't maybe educated enough, I don't know. I think his father thought it was a stain on the family, but I suppose you can't help who you fall in love with. Anyway, he got disinherited. Okay, so I'm at Making Place. This is the centre of his empire and his home. It's probably changed a lot. I'll find a picture of how it used to look and put it on, and then you can see how different it is now. I think they're just separate terraced houses now. Anyway, the original spot dates back to 1624, and Sam moved in 1706. He was 29 years old and relatively poor, and he began manufacturing woolen cloths and became very wealthy. Well, he's very famous now. He's the legacies left behind, the mill trade, the entrepreneurialism. It's something that it's in the heritage of Soyland now, and Ripponden. Right, I'm going to venture back down to Ripponden now. Bit of an old building there, Town's Gate. Okay, so I'm just heading back down to Ripponden, and according to my walking guide instructions, these two houses here used to be the local jail. Kind of hard to imagine. Okay, so just walk past what used to be the Milestone Inn. It's called something else now. I took a photo of it, but apparently Sam Hill owned that as well. And when he owned it, it used to be called Spout Farm. It's had a lot of changes over the years. Right, I'm on Priest Lane again, and walking past the Reverend John Watson's residence of some 200 odd years ago. Past this very old building, the Bridge Inn, the old Bridge Inn. Yeah, well, just wandering around Ripponden Mill, so I think Sam Hill owned this part of town as well. Oh, this is an old bridge. Okay, well, I think I've done now. Last quick view of St Bartholomew's at Ripponden. I'll catch you on my next venture out.